Okay. Hi, you guys. Welcome to this little training here. I did a webinar a little while ago that was about 2 hours long on this topic, but I wanted to try to condense it down and make it a little bit quicker. I'm aiming for about 20 to 30 minutes. So we'll see what happens. But this is like the very basic, like very mini training on how to kickstart your cash-based telehealth practice. We have a webinar coming up to discuss different stuff about telehealth. And I've been getting a lot of questions on like the bare minimum, like the basics, like what do you actually need? How does it work? All that kind of stuff. So I wanted to put this together to try to answer some of your questions, and then we'll talk about at the end if you have any other questions, what to do. So this training is for you, if you are ready to launch your telehealth practice. This is no small feat. It is not for the faint of heart, but it is awesome. It's super fun to do, and it's really cool to start your own business. It's been an amazing journey for me so far. So, starting this, you need to be pretty much all in to launch a telehealth practice where you are your own business entity and everything. So it's something that you've been thinking about for a while, but maybe the only thing that's been holding you back is just like you don't really know where to start. You wish that there was a step-by-step plan, something to kind of help you along with like, what do I actually need? um, you've either always wanted to start your own business, or like maybe something has happened and you at least want to give it a try, but you are afraid of failing, which is something that a lot of other clinicians tell me, like they just haven't tried because they're afraid to fail or they're afraid of what other people will think. So if any of those thoughts sound familiar to you, but this is something that you're pretty darn sure you want to do, keep listening. So, what are we talking about today? Like I said, this is like very much an overview. There is a ton that goes into this, so I wanted to try to condense it down to, the three big myths that I hear, like three big objections that people tell me, that I see online, that prevent you from, starting your telehealth practice. And then I think like the three major steps that you need in order to just like build your business and get it going. Like these are the three things that you need to do to kickstart yourself, and get it going. And then just a quick special offer at the end. So a little bit about me. My name's Morgan, and I am a physical therapist, a strength and conditioning specialist, and a wellness coach. I've also recently become somewhat of a business mentor, helping other clinicians start their telehealth practices. So I just wanted to share a little bit about my background. I went to Ithaca College. I graduated in 2018. And since then, my boyfriend Kyle and we moved across the country to Las Vegas. I've worked in outpatient, home health, and private practice now. Kyle's been working at the hospital in acute care physical therapy. And during that time, we've done a bunch of CrossFit, which actually led me to start my cash-based like gym PT, where like I'm my own entity, but I have had a partnership with my CrossFit gym, and I've been working mainly with CrossFit athletes. So from that, I started working with telehealth clients about 6 months before the pandemic anyway. And then I started transitioning some of my athletes to being like in person one week, telehealth the next week, because they didn't necessarily need me there all the time telling them exactly what to do. And then we would use our in-person services, or I would have them record themselves doing different lifting techniques. And then we would go over them via telehealth. So it's been really cool. And then, at the time I'm recording this, we're still basically in quarantine and in the pandemic here. So I've been able to transition all my clients over to telehealth, and it's been relatively seamless. And my clients really like it. I really like it. And so it's been something that I have continued doing. This has not been an easy journey for me. It's been a huge learning experience, which I definitely think is a pro of starting your own business, is you learn so much about yourself and like about starting a business, about finances, about sales and marketing, all kinds of things that you probably have never really learned before. But it's been a lot. A lot has happened since I started my practice. And all this stuff that I have learned is something that I really want to be able to share with as many people as I can. Because at least based on what I've done so far, even though it is a lot of work and it takes effort, it is fairly simple to start your own practice. You just have to be into it, and have a goal and have a reason behind it. So top 3 myths, basically the excuses that I hear for why people are not starting a telehealth practice or even adding in telehealth to the private practice they already have. So number 1, let me move myself here. You can't perform skilled services or treat somebody if you aren't in person and hands-on, or it won't be helpful to clients. I think you and I both can agree that this is not true. As far as being in person, there might be an argument there with that, but your skilled services don't have to be hands-on. There's so much that you can do with patient education and like showing and teaching, rather than having to actually be hands-on all the time. So telehealth is perfect for that. You have all of your knowledge, your experience, your education, and you can bill for patient education. So the same thing can happen with telehealth. And then as far as being in person, like I said, even myself, I might see clients for a while via telehealth, but if things are kind of plateauing, or, I'm not really sure why we've hit a snag, then we do meet up in person and we go over things. I do a movement assessment, and we figure out, what we've been missing so far. We readjust our program and then we continue on, whether that is with more in person or we just go back to telehealth. So totally skilled. You can 100% do skilled services virtually, and treat somebody, and I'll show you that here in a second. These are all testimonials from my patients, with permission to post. But like if somebody were to ask about telehealth, would they recommend it? And basically it's a resounding yes. It is at least worth a try, if not really cool and a really good opportunity. All the clients that I've worked with, they've talked about the different benefits that they've seen, whether it is like being more convenient. That's like a huge one, is the fact that it's more convenient for them, especially parents who have kids, or like if you're really busy with work, you don't have to worry about driving all the way down to the gym or to the clinic, waiting for however long for your appointment, and then driving home or back to work. And yeah, it's worked out really well. So I'm really happy that I've had this opportunity. And then myth number 2, telehealth is really complicated, or I have to have a really complex system in place. That is definitely not true. And I'll show you an example here in a second. But if you have a computer and you know how to use it, and your patient has a computer and knows how to use it, or a mobile device, that's almost everything that you need. And you just need to be able to talk to somebody, and maybe do a little bit of technical troubleshooting, but you just have to be able to talk to your client, to interview them and ask the appropriate questions and figure out, like what's going on, develop a hypothesis, and then, be able to instruct them verbally in, the care that you're providing, whether it is, like self-care, patient education kind of stuff, exercises you want them to do, or a different way to live in their home or perform different activities. Your communication skills just have to get a lot better. And some of you are already really good at that to begin with. So it doesn't have to be complicated. And then the tech stack I'll show you here in a little bit. When we get into it, it's really not hard. And you can actually set things up for, depending on if you want a website, you could set things up for as little as $6 a month. It's not that bad. And then you just have to be able to use a computer, like I said. So then, like you saw here, myth number 3 is that people won't pay for telehealth. And that's not true. I mean, I can speak to that from experience. I've had quite a few clients now that have paid me for telehealth services. So I can tell you for a fact that people will pay for it, and pay cash rather than feeling like they have to go through insurance. Which is a whole other conversation, but we can get into that another time. And then I know that there are plenty of other therapists out there who have paying clients that they see virtually. So definitely people will pay for this. So the big 3 steps to kickstart your telehealth practice, because we know now that it is totally possible. The biggest myths that people come up with, the excuses, like they're not true. You can figure out a way to get past them. So these are the 3 things that you need to do in order to like kickstart yourself and start seeing clients. So what do you need to do? Number 1, set up as a business entity. Like what does it take to do that? Get your gear together as far as your tech stuff and your softwares. And then you also want to know who you want to work with, who your target audience is, what problems they're having, and then figure out a way to offer a solution. And that is pretty much it. So number 1, we want to set up as a business entity. There are a variety of different business entities. You can pick one, you can change what you're doing later on. The most popular ones that I typically see other clinicians opening are LLCs and PLLCs. This will also depend on what your state laws say or your state practice act says. I know there are some states that require a PLLC. There are some states that require just an LLC. There are some states that have no requirement of what business entity you are, but depending on your practice, what type of clinician you are, it might say something about what kind of business entity you need, but you can research that on your state's website. You need a state and local business license in order to be doing any financial transactions, a tax ID number, a business checking and savings account, bare minimum, a payment processor in order to take people's money, and then professional liability insurance. So these are all the things that you need to get rocking and rolling as a business entity. But definitely make sure that you are doing all of your research for your local and state laws. These are just guidelines that I've put together based on what I know in my state, what I've seen other clinicians do, but it depends on where you are. So I can't speak to all the states, unfortunately. But you also want to look into if your state has any regulations on telehealth and what your direct access laws are. And obviously consult a lawyer as needed. Then number 2, get your gear, create your tech stack. So these are like the basic softwares or things that you need to set up in order to run your business. Number 1 would be an EMR. If you are performing skilled services, skilled medical services, you need to have some kind of documentation. And while if you are not billing insurance, you might not need to have your documentation like super rigid and super detailed. You still need to do your notes. I know a clinician who does not do notes, and that is just a bad thing waiting to happen. Need to have some kind of notes. And you can make your own documentation templates as well. And there are a variety of different EMR systems out there. I'll talk about it in a second here, but like one thing that you can do is starting off with G Suite and having Google Drive and Google Docs. Most people know how to use those. You can create your documentation templates on a Google Doc, and then you can type out your notes just in a Word document, save it as a PDF with your signature and the date, and that is good, like locked documentation once it is put into a PDF. So Google Drive on G Suite would be like your very basic EMR. And then there are other things like Intake Queue is one that I really like, PT Everywhere, Hello Note. There are lots of different softwares out there. And then you can either schedule manually, so the old-fashioned way of, calling, texting, emailing to schedule your appointments, or you can look into a scheduling software. So things like Calendly, Acuity, Appointlet, IntakeQ has one, and a bunch of the other like bigger EMR softwares do. So whatever you want to do there, different softwares have different benefits. Like I said, you need a G Suite because it will come with a business email. You can also use Google Voice to have a business phone number, and then you can, like I said, use it as an EMR. A basic website would probably be best at this day and age. Some people kind of have like the subconscious belief that if a business doesn't have a web page, it's not really a business, or like a business with a good reputation or things like that. So basic website would be good. Again, something that you can make with Google Sites on G Suite. A payment processor, so things like PayPal, Stripe, Square. Let's see, Wave is another one that I use. Something to complete the transactions, a telehealth or video conferencing platform. So Zoom has a HIPAA compliant one at close to $200 a month. But recently IntakeQ just partnered with Zoom. So if you use IntakeQ, you can also add Zoom on for only $30 a month. Or free options are Google Meet, which comes with your G Suite account, and that's HIPAA compliant. And you can also use Doxy.me is another telehealth video conferencing software that's free. And then if I were you, I would have some kind of like basic spreadsheet to show your income and your expenses. So you can start tracking that to keep track of your business as a whole, and to help you do your taxes later on. So this is just an example of a tech stack. So like I said, you can manually schedule and everything, and that's $0 a month. G Suite, the very basic package, is $6 a month. You could get a domain and hosting on Bluehost for $6 a month, and then create a site on Google Sites, or you could use the free version of Google Sites. You just don't get your own domain. Doxy.me or Google Meet for video calls, and then tracking income and expenses in a spreadsheet is $0, or you can also track those things on Wave. So just under $12 a month to run an entire telehealth practice is not too bad. That is excluding the initial startup costs of filing your business entity, but as far as operating costs goes, that's pretty good, pretty low overhead. And then obviously equipment that you need, a webcam is probably best in order to be able to see the patient and help them through things. A microphone, which most laptops come with both a webcam and a microphone, and then stable internet connection is really important. Sometimes things happen, but for the most part, your internet needs to be pretty good so that, the calls have consistent quality throughout them. And then lastly, step number 3 is you need to know your who you are working with, who you're targeting, and offer a solution. So one thing about, the traditional path of physical therapy is that you accept a job position, and then your facility, your agency, your clinic, your hospital, they're all responsible for bringing you clients. You get a caseload when you sign up for the job. And you don't really have to worry about any kinds of sales or marketing. But when you own your own business, you need to be able to figure out where to get clients from in order to keep your business running and continue to generate revenue and everything. So one thing that is really, really, really helpful that I know a lot of beginner entrepreneurs are afraid of is figuring out your ideal client and your target audience. So I think like one mistake that people do when they first get into it is saying, well, I can help anybody from head to toe, for example, for physical therapy and like OT as well. You can help anybody with anything because we are trained for all of that stuff when we first come out of school. But what will really help you in, your marketing and your advertising is having not even necessarily an ideal client, but just like a target audience of the types of people that you want to work with. And if you can narrow it down to like one type of client, the ideal client, that makes your marketing and your advertising messaging, your copy on your website, your copy on your social media, it makes it a lot clearer so that it, it's very apparent who it is you work with and who it is you can help. Because if you are confusing the consumers and confusing your audience, nobody's going to say yes to working with you because they aren't really sure if you're the person who can help them. So, we need to start with figuring out who do you like to work with? That's number one. You have to do something that you actually like doing. If, you can work with runners, but you hate working with runners, don't work with runners for your business. Pick something that you like. If you're going to put this much effort into something, pick a patient population you enjoy working with. For me, it's athletes. And like my boyfriend Kyle likes working with runners. I have a friend who likes to work with older adults who've just gotten joint replacements. Whatever speaks to you, the audience that you enjoy working with. Figure out where they are. If they are online, what platforms are they on? Where can you find them to talk to them? Where are they in the community? Are they in a gym? Are they at a community center? Are they in a runner's club? Something like that. Where are they? Because you're going to have to figure out a way to talk to them and get to know them and ask them what problems they have that you can solve. So you want to be able to build connections, develop relationships, because as people get to know, like, and trust you, they'll be more willing to do business with you. And like I said, what problems does this target audience have that you can solve? Excuse me. Because if you try to sell the modality or the method of fixing a problem, it's not going to work. It's not going to create sales. So for example, if I try to sell physical therapy, nobody really knows what that is, except other physical therapists, which is fine. But what will really speak to a consumer is hey, you have knee pain, you want to get back to running. I have a 6-week program that can help you get rid of your knee pain so you can get back to running 5 days a week. Something like that, something very specific that, people can kind of latch onto. It makes sense that there's a point A and a point B. And they understand what they have to do in order to get to that point B and that goal. So once you talk to your target audience, kind of figure out who your ideal client is, develop relationships, build connections, and identify the number one problem that this population is having. Create a solution, package it up, and then, be ready to sell it. Be ready to talk about what it is that you do and who you can help. Because then those people are going to start coming to you because they can see clearly what it is that you do. And they can see clearly that you are either, yes, the person to help them, or no, you are not the person to help them. And that clarity will really help your business and help your clients. So where are you right now? I know that was probably kind of a lot. Like I said, there's a lot that goes into this, but you can 100% do it. This is all very doable. It is very simple to set all these things up. The hard part is just actually putting the work in and being willing to get out of your comfort zone to do this stuff. You can look out there and see tons of different business owners, doing things that you might like to do and think, well, geez, if they're already doing it, what am I doing? But you have to remember that they were once where you are. And there are plenty of clients to go around, because the clients that are going to come to you not only are going to come to you for, getting their problem solved, but they're going to come and work with you because they like you and they want to work with you, which is pretty cool. So, it's not difficult, lemon difficult. All you have to do is put in some work. So, why did you come to this training today? we've been talking for quite a while now. Hopefully, I'm still under the time cap. I know I've been talking really fast, but why are you watching this training? You could be doing anything right now. You could be not even thinking about building a business, but what brought you to this? Maybe you're frustrated like I was last year in the different positions that I had, where I didn't have the freedom or flexibility that I wanted to do stuff that I actually cared about, or like feeling stuck and unfulfilled with what you're doing with your career. It's just not what really makes you happy, and like maybe you're looking for a way to treat the clients that you have better because you have more to offer, but something is preventing you from doing that. And maybe you're just looking for some direction. You're just looking for somebody to hold your hand and be like, okay, here's the steps. Let's start with step number one. This is what you need to do. um, and maybe you've just been struggling with a fear of failure, and you're worried because you see people having success, but you don't know if you have what it takes, and you do. But you will continue to stay stuck. If you believe that you can't do skilled services via telehealth, that it's really complicated or expensive, that nobody will pay for it, that will keep you stuck forever if you continue to believe that nobody will pay you for what you can provide. Because people will pay you. um, or if you think that you're not good enough or qualified or experienced enough, you will never be qualified or experienced enough if you don't get the experience. You kind of just have to jump in and figure it out as you go and learn through action. And you'll also stay stuck if you think you have to do it all by yourself. There are so many people out there who would be willing to help you with this. First of all, me, like I can 100% help you with this. Because the truth is that I've been where you are. I had no idea what I was doing, but I knew that I just had to start taking action. Otherwise, I was going to continue to second guess myself and doubt myself and be unhappy. And I mean, there's no point to that. I really wanted to be happy with what I was doing, and love going to work and love working with people and helping. And so the only way that I could see to do that was to create the opportunity for myself. And since starting this, I have gone through so many courses and so many resources. I've read so many books, that it's taken me months to figure this out. But, at this point, I have literally cracked the code. I have actually come up with a 30-day action guide to get you from, daydreaming about your telehealth practice to having a complete practice in 30 days. If you put in the work and the hustle, you can get it done in 30 days. You can have your own practice. um, you know but how do you do this? So like one thing, you could keep doing it on your own, which is fine. All the resources are out there. If you Google hard enough, you can find everything. Or the other the other way is I can help you. I can hold your hand as you go through it. And then I'll be there to answer all the questions that you have instead of having to spend 3 or 5 hours researching things and trying to come up with something. So one or the other, both totally fine, completely fine. I did it on my own. You could probably do it on your own. The one benefit to working with me would be I can save you a bunch of time, and also be an excellent support system. um, and just like this saying, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. Um, and my program will get you going both quickly and get you to go far, because it helps you to set up a really good foundation. And like, this is just an example of what one of my students had to say. Zach, he was doing awesome. He has come so far in just a few weeks. But he had no experience setting up a business, and in just a few weeks, I think 2 or 3 weeks from when he first started, he already had 2 paying clients, which is amazing. It's so cool. And like the feeling of being able to build something yourself and put it out there to help people, and then have people pay you for that and create the money yourself without having to depend on a job. is amazing. It's so empowering to have that experience. So I'm so excited for Zach. He's gonna do awesome. He's doing a really, really good job. So, quick special offer. This is the end of the presentation here. Today we talked about the top 3 myths that, I hear people tell me or I see online of reasons that people are not starting their own practices, their own telehealth practices, along with, those 3 big steps that you need to do, that you could start tomorrow in order to launch your practice. Because like I said, it's very simple to start your practice. It doesn't have to be hard. The more intense parts of this are going to be, you setting up your offer, testing it with your market, getting better at and learning sales and marketing techniques, which are included in my program, like the basics that I have learned on that stuff. But you could do this on your own, or I could help you do it faster and get it going, because there's no reason not to do this. I mean, unless your state has it in the laws that you can't, there's no reason not to have your own telehealth practice. Because I know, like before I started my practice, I had people coming to me like essentially off the street and being like, "Hey, Morgan, can you treat me?" And I had no idea how to do this. But if somebody said that to you and you already had your practice established, even if you weren't seeing clients just yet, you could be like, "Yeah, I can totally see you because I have my own business." And then you can start picking up some extra work on the side, work that you created. So hopefully this was helpful for you guys. There is so much, but I tried to condense it down into little bite-sized pieces, and I would be happy to talk to you more about it. So I'm offering free 15-minute phone calls, free consults to anybody who thinks that they might be interested in starting a telehealth practice and just need help getting it launched, because they don't know where to start, or they already have a practice but aren't really sure how to like transition into a telehealth based practice. um, you just need help. You want a telehealth practice, but you don't know what to do. So on these calls, we'll, essentially, I'll get to know you, see what your business plan is. We'll brainstorm and come up with the next steps for you, by figuring out where you are now, where you want to be, and if working with me is a good option, or what other resources are available for you. Because I have scoured the internet for resources. So I definitely can at least help point you in the right direction. And I would love to talk to you and see what you're doing. I love getting to know other professionals and seeing all the cool things that you guys are doing. So if this sounds like you, definitely go to my website and book an appointment on thewellphysio.com/free consult. And we will chat. I'll give you a call and we will talk about all your future plans and all the awesome things that you're going to do. So thank you so much for sticking around for this presentation. Like I said, I hope it helped. If you guys have questions, please leave them in the comments. And otherwise, I will talk to you guys soon.